Very good. Everything's in order. Good evening. This is Jupiter Exile, and we're live once more. Sunless skies. Let us continue. We return to Pan in Eleutheria. We have allied ourselves with the Heartcatchers. This bombazine. Am I carrying this for Eagle's Empyrean? Yes, to the east of Pan. I'm going to be short on bombazine for a later request. We believe Eagle's Empyrean to lie somewhere over here. Let's hope that's correct. It's certainly been quite the risk, traversing Eleutheria in general. In terms of miscellanea, we don't have any Eleutherian mysteries to trade for repairs. We simply have to make it. And hopefully, we can use their relay to return to the Reach. Or Albion, or anywhere else. Honestly. It's all fine. Eleutheria has certainly been a fascinating place. I could hide a deathened jar inside a wreck? No. I can be more clever than that. We'll wait. I could use the hull recovery. Though Eleutheria is fascinating, it's very difficult to upkeep some of our secondary attributes, to keep our crew high, to keep our terror low, to keep our hull intact. The balancing act is much more difficult here. We return once more to the Belt of Midnight, this peculiar blackened part of sky. We're not there yet, not just yet. There's an obstruction proper. I think I'm still attenuating to the bleakness of the background. Also, this is a bit too loud in my ear. Let's tone it down. There, now I can hear myself speak. Let's hope not to chance again upon curators. Belt of Midnight, where lightning goes to die. I don't understand the proper meaning of that, as of yet. Where lightning goes to die. What is lightning, anyhow? In the notion of this sunless sky? Well, that wasn't so bad. Oh, that was nothing. Was that an Eagle's Empyrean ship? Did it become aggressive because we were lightless? Where is the port? Oh. Well, here's the relay. But that relay's not the port. And I ought to ask them before I try to use it. There's a possibility they'll be seeking some manner of favor before I can engage with their transit. The lane of lions and unicorns. A little piece of Albion on the edge of the Empyrean. Here, Her Majesty's embassy works tirelessly to maintain cordial relations with the Imperials. I can hire a crazy cat lady. A woman sits at the station side in oil-stained overalls. 3 overfed, baleful cats lounge near her. I'm looking for work, she says, climbing to her feet. The cats observe you with naked hostility. I'm afraid they're part of the package, she says, indicating them. You always have room for a good engineer, even one with cats. That's cheap enough. We'll bring her on. As she climbs aboard, she pats your locomotive's boiler fondly. Hello, my girl. She makes her way towards her new cabin. The cats tangle around her feet, almost tripping her. This is where we can engage with the Bazaar. Bombazine to the Eagle. And an opportunity to acquire caged catches. I believe I required caged catches for Carillion. 7 of them, in theory. 7 will be difficult to procure. You have an arsenal. Illuminated engineering. Singular vessel, the Altani-class Outrider. An electric wonder, the Altani is a far-ranging, versatile explorer. It is the pride of the Empyrean, and they guard its production zealously. It's got 3 utility slots, a lot of hold space. It's a very economically focused locomotive. Her Majesty's embassy dominates this little street. The eagle stands above the lion and the unicorn on the street sign. London and the Khanate worked together to enter the High Wilderness, but their alliance since has been tenuous. It is preserved only by desperate diplomatic endeavor and a number of carefully preserved fictions regarding what the other is up to. Well, I probably ought to get a visa. But first, a port report. Beyond the antique facades of the line of lions and unicorns, the Empyrean rises high in steel and blue light. The constraints of its location necessitate that the Empyrean builds upwards. Careful porticos give way to expansive temples and crowded markets. People live cheek by jowl. Light is precious and easily lost. Power is conserved carefully. When times are bad, whole districts go dark. It would be easy for hopelessness to seep in. The Khan occupies his people with festivals, celebrating his people's history of the old Khanate, and constant technological innovation. To be idle is to be afraid here. The Empyrean is busy at every hour. The embassy is a fine example of Georgian architecture. Inside, the elegance gives way to a pandemonium of desks, where bureaucrats minutely scrutinize their correspondence. Any mistake could trigger a summons to the Khan, and the possible expulsion of the embassy. Each is hunched with age, with hair as white as Lustrum's snow. The ambassador's secretary is assigned to handle incoming captains. He reaches over a mountain range of papers with a visa. Please don't make additional work for us. If you must visit the city, be polite. They must know of a way back. The gentleman is immediately obliging. We really should put a sign up. The Reach Transit Relay lies to the east of Pan, close by, clockwise around the region from here. It's under Empyrean control, of course, in accordance with the treaty. He smiles the broad smile of a practiced liar. We thought it would be a nice gesture. Let them think they control their borders and all that. For all his confidence, he checked for Empyreans in earshot before saying that. A respite? No matter how hard the decor tries, it can't mask the darkness visible from the window, nor soften the electric light of the Empyrean moon. Still, off-duty diplomats congregate around the triangle-cut sandwiches. They drink steeped tea with translators, attachés, and runners. The maiden and unicorn is also popular with citizens of the Empyrean. Some come to sample the latest London cuisine. Others to do unofficial business with London's embassy. Others, like everyone else, just come to get away from the dark. On to the Empyrean. There is an option for repairs here. Full repairs, the standard price. Excellent. So, here is the place where we can reliably repair in Eleutheria. A modest checkpoint stands at the end of the Lane of Lions and Unicorns. Visitors to the Empyrean must have their papers checked. There is a queue to get past the guards, but it moves efficiently. They're ready to inspect your papers. You are welcome to the one true civilization in Eleutheria. You are as free to explore as any citizen. Let's do what it's promised for the navigator. Tourists have no business in graveyards. Gawping at tombs is a peculiarity of the British, viewed with suspicion. Each street is lit by evenly placed electric lights. The light is cold and casts hard shadows. Empyrean citizens hurry by in silks and cloth. There's always somewhere to be in the Empyrean. All who live here work. There is no space for idleness. An Imperial man has been following you since you left the Lane of Lions and Unicorns. The bespectacled official sidles next to you and adjusts his cravat. I need an observer to bring me the latest goings-on in Eleutheria. A traveler would suit my purposes very well. Perhaps we could discuss it over a little tea and a friendly game of mahjong. There's a little park on the Lane of Lions and Unicorns. I'll be by the rose bush. I will give my assent. A nod is enough. The official adjusts his glasses. You go your separate ways. Electricity is not wasted on the dead. Instead, a caretaker regularly replaces the candles in every nook, on every corner of each plinth. The embalmed rest in unsteady gloom. Brooding stone shadows shift uneasily. I will distract the caretaker. The caretaker sits with you on a low stone slab at the far edge of the graveyard. She listens in silence. A flaring candle catches something glinting on her cheek. When you leave, she remains in quiet contemplation. The navigator is waiting by a graveyard gate. He grins awkwardly. He has used rope to tie the corpse's desiccated wrists to its ankles and is wearing it like a knapsack. The corpse's head lolls against his shoulder, its embalmed face almost restful. Back at your locomotive, the navigator meets your eye, then bursts into incredulous laughter. I gained 1 terror. I'm only allowed to visit once every fortnight, and it appears I have now used up my allotment. Let's speak then further with the fortunate navigator. I'll need to bring him an unlicensed chart. Bring me a map, something that says here be monsters. Please, sir. Difficult. Brigade, that I need. She wants to go to Piranesi, which I believe is in the Blue Kingdom. Nature Reserve. Most Serene Mausoleum, the tomb of Albert. That's right, he had a singularly terrible idea. Try to find a solution for the clay conductor's problem. The aunt have more to say. Help your aunt go through February's papers. Piles of pages are strewn across her cabin. I've been impersonating February in some correspondence to get more information, your aunt says in explanation. It's not like she's going to object. Working together, you discover the key to the cipher, various calendars, from the Roman to the Revolutionary. From the documents, you learn that February knew that the final design for the bomb was held by Her Majesty's Privy Councillor. He died and is now interred in the Most Serene Mausoleum. If we could find those designs, we'd know for certain what our government agreed to. Digging deeper into things, then. What of the feline eccentric? I can bring along ministry approved literature, and we need to have a fully repaired ship either way, and we can bring along illicit literature alternatively. Alright. I don't believe there are any particular ways of upgrading mascots. If there would be, it would probably be through other stories, not related directly to the mascots themselves. I wouldn't be surprised if the Blemigan could be upgraded through some kind of peculiar interaction involving Hybris. Speaking of Hybris, however, it's time to return to the Reach. Hopefully. They may require something here that I don't yet have, or don't currently have. What do you want? Present to Customs. Taciturn Inspector boards the ship, licking a fresh pencil and signing his name on a pristine new search form. Shall we? He says, carefully double-checking his own spelling bee before moving on. We can travel for 200 sovereigns, or 3 crates of munitions. Well, 200 sovereigns it is. Quite simple. We have business in Carillon, Leadbeater, and Stainrods. Where else? Leadbeaters is the most important. We need to be mindful when we're returning to the Reach from Eleutheria that it's going to deposit us way out here in Hybris, and that's going to take some fuel to get back. Right now we have the fuel, but we need to be mindful of that in the future in case we're going back and forth. I wonder if I use the transit relay again, will it put me in Eagle's Empyrean or just in the middle of nowhere on the broken relay? Good question. Wonder if it's possible to repair the broken relay at some point. I should have interacted with it before I left to see if that might be the case. Alright. It seems as though one of my biggest holdups is a supply of unlicensed charts. It would do well to gather 2 or 3 of those, at the very least. Let's see. What else is of note? There's not much reason to put in at Hybris, but we should be able to get a little bit of terror reduction if we do. That's an option. The Allegheny. What have we here? Well, maybe we can put away one of these deaths. 2 more deaths to dispose of. We've packed it away in a new grave. Let's see. I can head down this way directly to Leadbeaters. It's a bit of a long trek, but I should have enough fuel to make it. 6 fuel is quite a lot, after all. And it's not altogether unlikely to find something else that might give us additional fuel as we're traveling. Very close to a new facet. One of the longer treks. Going to get violent with me, are you? What poor taste. I do have this fresh new weaponry. Ah, excellent. Munitions. That's money. Money all the same. think there was something else I had to do regarding the colonists of Tibris. I have to go to New Winchester about that. I don't recall. I think it was maybe 2 plot lines back I was supposed to stop at Leadbeater and Stainrods. I'm not sure. Or not plot lines, but kind of narrative steps, I suppose. Story beats, yes. I think it was a few story beats ago I was meant to inquire at the nature reserve, and I don't remember if I did. Then there's this notion about Apollonian cinders, that they're, getting very particular on. I've gathered the inference that it's some sort of tobacco or smokable. I can't help but feel that it might be sinister. So many things are, after all. It's a safe bet. Thank you for the bronze wood. We've got slightly stronger weaponry now, so taking these things apart should be a little faster. Good and done. This has always been moderately profitable. I'll just take supplies. If I can do it perfectly successfully every time, there's not much cause not to. It's a nice bump. Ouch. I forgot that's collidable. I seem to think each time that you can pass underneath those. Not the first time I've made the mistake. Well, once again, I find myself sailing against the peacock wind. That'll be an unfortunate amount of terror. Yeah. It's a problem to settling down just after dinner. But our supplies certainly won't suffer. We gained about half a crate. The vagabond's right. He's acquired an enormous knapsack and has packed an equally enormous amount of glassware into it. 1 sack of verdant seeds? Can I just buy them here? Good. Done. Cheap tea? Keep that in mind. One supply, 1 vision of the heavens, 1 sack of verdant seeds. The ritual will not be easy, he warns you. It'll hurt us. It'll change us. The 2 who leave this forest will not be the 2 who entered. Do you have what we need? The vagabond stares at you, then nods. Yes, you're ready. You hike until you reach a ring of sharp stones. The vagabond builds a fire and spreads leaves over the flames. Its smoke is intoxicating. He presses a thimble of something oozing in a red into your palm. It tastes sweetly foul. Squatted over a cauldron, He begins simmering a stew of chopped toadstools and slimy carcasses. When you next look down, your arms are gnarled tree branches. They sprout glistening fruit. The vagabond plucks one and adds it to his mixture. You blink. The sky changes color. It smolders red. The vagabond has drawn symbols in the soil. How much time has passed? You try to stand, but you're rooted to the ground. You strain to speak, but your mouth is sealed by bark. You would claw your lips free, but your arms are twisted branches. The vagabond sets out 2 cups, one for you, one for him, and pours a seething mixture from the cauldron into both. He pauses, coughs, pushes his fingers into his mouth, and pulls from his throat the final ingredient, a calcified, knobbly seed. When added to your cup, it hisses. The vagabond sits cross-legged, closes his eyes, and sings. The surrounding trees susurrate in harmony. If you close your eyes, the vagabond's song fills your skull like honey in a bowl, and you have no need to think. The vagabond's song reaches a pitch you cannot hear. His eyes are closed in rapture. Then his eyes snap open. In one swift gulp, he drinks from his cup, and commands you to drink from yours. You do so. With that, the ritual is concluded. The birds resume their song. The vagabond stands, begins grimly packing away his paraphernalia. Well, I'll have to ask him about that shortly. What else have we got going on here? Here it is. They need a caged catch. She claps her hands when she sees what you brought her. It's been too long since I've got my hands on a half-decent vector. I shall have to let it loose in the reserve when we're done here. Now, tell me everything. She smiles serenely when you've finished. Luckily for us, this fungus is a lesser intelligence, severed from one infinitely greater. Its methodologies are undoubtedly crude, as you'll see if you just step this way. Pernickety Factor steps outside, complaining of a sudden headache. My sight's gone all woozy, most distressing. The superior researcher does not notice the interruption. She hands you a watering can for when it's over, and a poker, you probably won't need it, before unlocking the cage. She picks up 2 samples of mushroom in her hands, the violet crocus and a golden cap like molten butter, and advances on the creature. The creature lets out a low moan as she begins applying the purple fungus to its flank. Slowly but surely, the flesh begins to stir, as pores gently sprout. A scar heals before being overrun with new pods. Quickly, the can! As the fruiting beast is doused, the researcher quickly applies the golden fungus. I've witnessed a demonstration of the properties of the verdance. We're lucky in that this is a lesser mushroom. An unworthy mushroom. Indeed, I might go so far as to say a mushroom that should never have spored. She glares at the flaking purple fungus on her desk. This is one of the verdants, albeit a very corrupted one. It has healing properties, though its horizons are very limited. They like to collect things. She rubs a bit of golden sleep from her eyes. If you want to find what happened to your colonists, look for a very large fungus on Hybris. Believe me, there will be one. The rest will become apparent. Very good. So we have the ability now to return to Hybris and learn for certain what happened. And a quick trip into the reserve with the ornithologist will get us more sky stories. I think there was a means of converting sky stories to visions of the heavens, and that sounds excellent. Let's chat with old Tom. Is old Tom ready to visit his eponymous well? The vagabond beams at you, his eyes twinkling. Yes, I'm ready. Thank you for everything. This will make a fine story when it's over. All right. Let's see. Got a few things to get up to here. Tom's Well is actually not far from here, so let's go down right to Tom's Well through Tiggelar's Haunt. Afterwards, I'll consider going up to Carillon, I think. I can make a partial deposit of caged catches for some immediate profits. Further caged catches in Bombazine will have to be acquired as we go. There's a possibility of getting caged catches by hunting bull cantankerine, but of course our most routine ways of getting them are through opportunities in... Let's see, there's opportunities in Eleutheria, there's butchery in the unpleasant northern part of... Oh, free Chorister Nectar, thank you very much. Can we... Ah, a pristine pair of wings is needed. Very good. I'm a little beyond keeping track of all those things. We can take another facet. What can we learn? What can we be? We can gain a moment of inspiration from a lost love. Lower nightmares through a thief oath. I'll take the lowered nightmares, thank you. We'll gain some iron, and 65 is the breakpoint for purple gear. We've got that with equipment, so I think we're fine. I can gain some hearts then. They say there is no honor among thieves. They are wrong. In a lightless cellar, you and your closest collaborators spoke a solemn promise that was invented in the dark. You mingled your blood. What did you swear? To shelter and safeguard one another, however dire the circumstances. To forgive each other all debts. To name the foe of one of you as the foe of you all. We are affiliated with damn near everything at this point. Yes, we have a 100% success rate in acquiring nectar. So we can farm Chorister Nectar really reliably. Technically, we can farm Chorister Nectar until this captain is retired if we really want to. We can farm it until we have the Agravain. Whatever thing we want to do. It's all on the table, really. Chorister Nectar, ours, Bronzewood, all the riches of the Reach. Oh. So I can sometimes get only a partial success, even with the number displayed as 100. That's alright. Can't be too much greedier. I want it to sidle away from the hive. Oh, that's fine. Sovereigns for nothing. I haven't found just yet if there's an interaction point regarding Tigalar's Haunt that might merit examination. Where is the... Okay, so it's slightly to the north. I want to get a little bit out of the radius of the terror. So, this is the point that's actually marked as the anomaly. Is any part of it interactable? Doesn't quite seem to be. Oh, bit of stuff. Dried tea. I'm not in the practice of leaving things behind. Oh, that's scuttled. Sky stories, meh. I sleep on those. It's, Tales of Terror, though. That's worthwhile. The dodge is very good. You can even dodge a swarm of bees. Or nectar. We need piles of the stuff, mountains. If I ever want to attempt clay singing, I'll need piles of chorister nectar and, what are they called? Moments of inspiration to spare. Perhaps if I had found love, that would be helpful. I'm pretty good at landing in this well. Done it a couple times. The lank minister is waiting for you, surrounded by a threadbare gaggle of her parishioners. The well winds whip at your garments. The vagabond's beard and coat flap wildly as he strides toward this place, toward his pale, gaunt sister. "Greetings, brother," says the lank minister with unconcealed contempt. "Sister," booms the vagabond with an exaggerated bow, "aren't you going to thank me? I brought your master another gift." The young Skylark was lured here by promises of paradise hidden in secret code. What did she do to him? The minister's face is stone. She does not reply. The vagabond answers for her. "Quivers went in the well, dear sir," he says with a twinkle in his eye, "as did dozens before him. I made a pact, you see, the bitter old thing that lingers here. It granted me riches, I pledged it my life." He smiles, delighted by his own cleverness. "But I offered some sinister folk a lot of money, and they helped me ferret out a ritual that would create a scapegoat. Ever since, I've been paying my debt with the lives of the less interesting." Is that so? I shouldn't have trusted him after all. Old Tom grips your shoulder and marches you to the well's edge. Fathomless darkness hungers below. The lank minister and her followers have dropped in supplication, their faces pressed into the coal-black ice. "Here's another one," mutters Old Tom. "Their soul is bound to mine." You follow his gaze, and, for a moment, you can see almost to the well's depths, a glisten of fetid gold, a cluster of pale, grasping trees. The winds howl, they hunger. The time has come. You belong to the well now. You struggle free of the vagabond's grip, but the well winds buffet you back. He and his sister watch, impassive, as you skid toward the well's edge. For one last moment you cling to the ice, but the well is below and howling for what it is owed. Darkness rises. You are falling. After endless, hideous darkness, the sudden gleam awaiting you at the bottom is a blessed relief. A garden of bones, colossal and golden and poisonously bright. They tower over the canopy below. In joyous, mindless supplication, you take your place among the trees. You shed your thoughts like autumn leaves and rejoice in the light that lingers. Well, such is the end of our first captain. I lost my intrepid Cavey. You're kidding me. You have inherited 1,625 sovereigns. You fill in some of your chart. You'll start at level 11. I shouldn't have trusted him. Who will succeed us? Yes. Well, we should have known. We were warned. We could have done something about it. We had every opportunity. If we had switched the cups, he would have been the one to die. Our next captain will be an aggressive one. A soldier in Her Majesty's military, in the Royal Horse Guards, served in the Blues, conducting labyrinthine ceremonial duties and defending Her Majesty's person. We seek the truth. Even the stars have secrets, but they won't keep them from you. A message from an old friend begins an unwise quest to learn a secret that the stars hide. What drives you? Curiosity? Justice? Insolence? Whatever it is, it will be tested. Then again, we could complete one of these other things and then try to track over. I'm going to try to make the fastest possible completion of wealth. As our former captain was Mercury, such as this one named Venus. That'll do. We will achieve wealth. Let's take facets. We're defined predominantly by irons. A battlefield. Hold the line, your orders said. So you fought and bled on a foreign field, far from home. Shells drummed the broken earth, bullets whistled and bayonets clashed, screams sang out. When silence fell, how did the day end? How could it? In defeat. A mentor. The blind bruiser. I believe this has to be the same mentor as our forefather? I'm not certain. If I don't have other opportunities, that's fine. An earlier captain in your lineage is held in high regard. It's unlocked because another captain preceded you. Some of your predecessors' shine rubbed off on you. It opened doors, expensive doors with bright brass knockers and servants to answer them. Where did those doors lead? Parlors of the privileged, of course. Checking for the availability of any kind of other opportunities. I'd like irons to be at something like 45, or close to it. In terms of other equipment on our ship, it's likely that we have something that costs a full 45 mirrors as well. We may want to be a little insane. Let's see. Let's get the irons up to 45 first. Steam and soot. You spent much of your time at the engine yards, watching locomotives being built, repaired, and decommissioned. We spent the time learning how engines worked, dismantling obscure machinery and putting it back together again. You could no longer be the person you were told to be. Gradual growth set in. Spiriford. Interesting. This, I think, might lead to something. But it's increasing our irons further, and we don't need much more of that now. Haunted. You're plagued by the past, by some guilt or sin, or old ordeal that will not let you rest. What is the nature of the haunting? A ghostly presence. You are not alone. A lost love. You loved. You lost. How badly does it hurt now? Like a gnawing ache, a hole in the heart. You fought in the greatest battle of the Winchester War, when the regional governor, appointed by Her Majesty, was driven from the Reach. Which side did you fight on? I fought for the Tacites. Not too much to gain from a... we'll go with Spiritford. This is interesting. Spiritphage, the unlicensed trade in souls, light on London. Yours was a fortunate case, and you managed to recover your souls some years later. But how? Through a deal with the devil. All itinerant souls eventually find themselves in the possession of Hell's children. Devils do not traditionally part with souls, but you were very clever, or very persuasive. A settler. A hard-scrabble existence, scratched from the sky a month at a time. The reach is verdant, but its homesteads cling to tiny, exposed sky rocks. Most fail. In the end, what drove you back to the skies? One bad season. One harvest where the crops grow weeping tumors or venomous nodules. One bad wind that rips a house from its mooring. We exist. I notice that we exist in Pan. The game has decided to start us off in Pan. How lovely. We're not able to slot the Montresor. We don't have the mirrors for the Cothrell and Hatter Sage, nor the veils for the mining array, not the improved one. We can equip the Grimalkin. So that's a provisional weapon. I did not want to be starting an Eleutheria. That's interesting. We need to take out our bat. The Diffident Bat. Let's see. We can use the pressure canning system. The Durandal. Let's see. We can still equip the Britomart. Let's see. We can equip the Black Jape. It would cost a decent amount of our funds right now. I'll need more crew. Just one. Unfortunate. Not much to be done there. So, for the Ambition of Wealth, we will need a residence. Crockery to Langley Hall, literature to Eagles Empyrean, 5 volumes of literature is easy. 5 crates of crockery, do we have it? No, we don't have a lead on crockery while we're here. Let's restock. I do have enough to buy another weapon if I want to try the Black Jape. The Grimalkin does less damage, but should still be serviceable. I think I would feel best if I could buy a Sneeze Lurker, but they don't have it here. Okay. We don't have a lot to work with in terms of plots right now. We should quickly align ourselves with somebody here in Pan. Why did these... Okay. Looks like we still have a decent grasp of the place. If our first task is up in Langley Hall, then that's where we should go. Alright, the game plan now is to wheel and deal as aggressively as possible. It looks as though we've started off with just one officer, the signs and signals of the High Wilderness, an omnibus. We'll need to find several officers again. The driver we'd completed the storyline for, and that should remain completed. I'm certain we were close to completing the storyline for Old Tom as well. It is the hour of arguments. I will listen and observe. Let's see. If I want to be a member of the Brazen Brigade, I can just do so. Excellent. I'll join the brigade. The souls that stand in the sun's sight, clothed with the light of the sun. Careful dilettante acts as intermediary. You are to go to the sunken sepulchre of the nameless saint at the hour of veracity. When you arrive at the sepulchre, you find someone is already kneeling before the altar. They rise. It is the Scarlet Condottiere, the bloody-handed general of the Brazen Brigade. Your request is acceptable. Devotion must be proven. There are tombs held by the other factions of Pan. Tombs of our Chorister Saint in the Heartcatcher's Garden, the Bellows Saint in Winters reside. Anoint one of their corpses with these souls. He produces a thin silver vial, and return to me. The others will not like their territories being disturbed. Consider carefully which saint you choose. I'll make an enemy of the revolutionaries in the Winter's Garden. Why not? Down to the Winters reside. Now, there is an unfortunate circumstance that new captains, often under-equipped, can sometimes wind up out of their depth in Albion or Eleutheria or wherever else you've died. It's unfortunate that my location was not set to the Reach because I didn't make it back to New Winchester, and I believe it's docking at a major port that updates your circumstances. But hey, upside, no nightmares. I will spend some time mingling. To find the tomb, I'll need 5 Eleutherian mysteries. Right then, off to Langley Hall, and we'll be on the lookout for Eleutherian mysteries while we do. The trek to Langley Hall was not one of the more dangerous ones when I was doing this before. Last captain was a quite accomplished sort. It'll take me a while to build up that kind of nest egg, although thankfully I had a very, very full bank with a lot of different commodities, so I can very easily get back to trading and wheeling and dealing. That's why you hold a lot of commodities in the bank. You can lose cash on hand. I think you lose a certain percentage of cash on hand on death. Generally, you don't lose your vessel. I have butchery equipment. Scoop up some eels. I can get fuel at the Langley Hall, correct? Yes, I can. Got Thirsty Bombazine. Unfortunately, I lost the unique opportunities I had gathered up. That's unfortunate. Now, most of the map stays revealed. I think certain things might have been hidden in certain places. Or it might be that it only gave me the map here in Eleutheria. The ruins of Perturbia, haunted by those driven mad in the skies. That's right, I'm working with the Grimalkin again. Hey, the Grimalkin puts in a lot of work. You'll have to come closer if you want to hit me. I think it's gone, more or less. Oh, we've got a lot of things to catch up on. So, given that we've taken a death, some amount of busy work in terms of catching up to the last captain, I may work on off-stream to get a bit more back up to speed until we're getting back to new plot lines. Not, you know, for now I'll keep going, but over the next few days, I may play a bit offline just to go through the rigmarole of getting the captain familiar with all the ports. If I can gather enough wealth, I could even retire in terms of wealth. His lordship's grand clear-out. Oh, a crate of crockery. How much? Just one. Alright. Bit of a bummer. I'd like more than that. Sail on Bronzewood. Hold on. Did I click the wrong thing? No, this was the one that needed crockery. It was Eagle's Empyrean I was supposed to go to. My goodness. Might as well. Jetty on the edge of nowhere. Oh, we'll enter Langley Hall. Build up a port report. We will sign the guest book with no change. And we will go through the notions of exploring, or the possibility of exploring. We're a bit better at this than the last captain. But not that much better. So we'll aim at getting that started. It doesn't turn out well. We buy what we need and we make our way out. I'm going to cut east and try and cut through a few stories in the revolutionary vessel that's sitting out there. I can grasp the solution to at least 3 different things there. The thing that's actually got a lot of my stats and values much lower than they would otherwise be is simply the lack of crew. Crew is very powerful. Or officers, rather. Crew is okay. You can do without crew for a while. But having each of your officer slots occupied makes up a lot of stats. A lot of stats that we now lack. Speak. Aspirant. Forum. Send a lecture. We will choose to learn about Mr. Barleycorn. We didn't listen to this one last time. The Halve's most eminent, most enigmatic servant, declares the supplicant, striding down the stage. We all know that it is in the Liberation's best interest to keep him on side, and he is at least more scrutable than his master. So what can we do? Send him baskets of fruit, a backgammon set? The supplicant reaches the end of the stage, pirouettes. No! Mr. Barleycorn is fond of stories. He's a collector of information, and he's a lover of music. Bring him stories, secrets, and songs, and you may win his favor. Perhaps he may even relay your words to the Hound. Back to the unassailable Founder. We ask her about her mask. We switch to the Mask of the Supplicant. We head to the Forum. We tell a Sky story. We'll need to tell a better story, I think, before she'll be impressed. Because we told a decent story, but it did not get her... it did not impress her. To the laboratories. Take part in an experiment as a guinea pig. Our last captain failed this twice. Here, drink this. It's perfectly safe. The scintillant presses a fizzing tube into your hands, then immediately runs for cover. You examine the liquid. The smell alone could strip the skin from a cat. Nevertheless, you drink. How odd, says the scintillant, after a lengthy pause. I thought. Colors unfold from his open mouth like a kaleidoscopic chrysanthemum. For the next few days, you wander in a landscape of spirals and fireworks. When you recover, you find yourself in bed, sweat-soaked, your ears still ringing. Worth as a scintillant. This we didn't learn before. The Founder's hand moves automatically to cover it up. For a moment, you could have sworn it was an eye nestled between neck and collarbone. Before we reached the wilderness, I was an admiral in London's fleet. When patrolling the Untersee, we came across something under the water. A scar, or an eye, or something. I dived to investigate. I still don't understand what happened down there, but I met something far greater than myself, and I came back with this. She brushes the eye on her neck with a fingertip. Years later, in the wilderness, I took charge of London's greatest dreadnought, still in early experimental stages. That's when the eye opened. At that moment, I knew, deep in my bones, that I had to seek out Eleutheria. Put on the mask of the recalcitrant. We'll go to the Hall of Debate. We will argue about morality, and we will concede defeat. Which we know from last time. Gives us some more information. Okay. And then we will leave the Berenger. So, we need to tell a better story, which, at the minimum, could require us to bring 3 Eleutherian mysteries, but there are other options. We may be able to complete the Berenger plotline, which the last captain was not able to do. Quite intriguing. It does burn to fall slightly short of ambition. I had the materials in the bank that I could have sold to accomplish the goal of wealth. But then again, I'd be at the same circumstance of being a new captain, trying to find my way into a... trying to find all the crew again, all the officers. Reconvene along some officer storylines that I'll have to redo. At a crossroads, I'll accept a gift of wit. Eleutherian mystery, a moment of inspiration, and a little more. A deal, the measure. They'll come back for something, and it'll be annoying to pay for it, but that's okay. We'll make do. We need more right now. Just more. Go past the Xanthus Moon. I think a quick story beat here might be able to get me a bit of storyline stuff. But we've seen this before, the Rite of Renewal. Ah, this rite requires bombazine. If you have some, you're welcome to participate. This is different. They will live on the gantries of the moon for the next fortnight, performing essential repairs and maintenance. Doing so will earn them the enmity of the things that live in dark. They cannot return till the time of the next rite. A throng of temporary stalls caters to the crowd. Merchants haggle over mementos. Other offer cups of only the very best arag. One enterprising youth charges for the use of lantern repair tools, taking business from his neighbor, a lantern seller. The bustle, trade seems healthy. Well, not much to that. On to the Empyrean, which is just quite simply south of this. What a fuss I made about finding that before. Art of the Sky claimed by the Eagle Khan. I can most likely bring aboard some kind of officer from this port. Let's see what we got. We'll bring on the feline eccentric. Stop in, introduce ourselves. Port. Ask about the transit relay. That's fine. We'll hire on crew. Four to 8 crew. Excellent. At the Empyrean, we'll seek repairs. Ah. I'll recruit Empyrean youths. Stopping in at the visa checkpoint. This time, I'll go somewhere else. I'll go to the Khan's Market. The Great Market fills the square below the Khan's Palace. The locomotive stations are on the other side of the city, so foreign merchants must travel through the splendid thoroughfares of the Empyrean to get here. Same thing that happened before. I don't have connections. Balance of the Great Game. Interesting. There are spices in such abundance you can taste cardamom and cloves in the air. You admire matted wool as intricate as a spider's web and as bright as sunlight. It displays figures from history. Most prominent is the great Khan who built his kingdom in the Zee. Where does the wool come from? The stall keepers will not say. For now, you only pick up a few souvenirs. The electric lanterns, the miniature moons produced by the Empyrean, are unavailable to you. Stall keepers eye you with suspicion when you ask, and turn away. After a while, a troop of very polite guards escort you out of the Empyrean to the port. You've seen enough for today, they say. They are rather terse. Propaganda on parade. Literature to Eagle's Empyrean. Excellent. Ministry Strand Permit. Have an option on the Veritine gemstones. We'll pick them up. At the Blue Heaven Arsenal. I'll need more of these if I am to sail correctly. After I've made it back to the Reach. Remind me what you require. Literature. We'll get some when we check in at New Winchester. checking in at large ports will allow me to rebuild a crew more quickly. So that's the game plan. Presentation to customs, nothing to declare. Back to our engine, and we travel to the Reach, the cost of 200 sovereigns. Back down to 600, but we picked up 3 casks of Navarretine gemstones that might be good later on. First priority is still to gather up crew. Second priority is to make good on whatever opportunities come around. Now, I'm not sure where the plot regarding Hybris has ended up. We may need to visit Hybris in order to re-trigger the plotline. So I'm going to go from Hybris down to Leadbeater and Stainrods and see what we get from that. Our weapon is stepped down twice over, because we have the weapon between the Grimalkin and what we were equipping. If we can get our mirrors up with our next few facets, or with a couple of officers, we can get back to using that. I think the Blemigan is always at Port Avon, or we can try for an inadvisably large dog. Unfortunately, we can't get Chorister Nectar easily anymore. I'll go for the canning equipment. That cantankery off to the right is different. It's got frills or something, but it's not a bull cantankery. Oh, never mind. It's normal. Probably just something kind of cloudy that was hanging around it for a moment. Ouch. There we go, it's popped. I didn't get tagged for much. Dig for precious stones. 94 sovereigns in exchange for a little terror. That's fine. Let's see then. Shore leave. We'll join in song. Hybris deserted. Write a port report. Scavenge. We can gain more than we can carry. I'll wander for a moment. And it doesn't seem to give me another lead. So I don't have the pernickety factor on board, which was part of what was needed to get that lead initially. We'll jettison the excess fuel. Don't need it. We could have gone without that plot line and left the fuel and supplies there for scavenging, but I wanted to see if that would pick up the plot again. Okay, on down to Leadbeaters. Thankfully, we still have the assaying equipment. That stuff's useful. Also, thankfully, we still have the Reach more or less fully explored. I think we may be able to take this captain to the Parsifal and maybe get another play of the story. I'm not certain how that works in some cases. I don't know which stories refresh and which stories don't. I can't hold anything right now. We did lose about 4 hold space as a virtue of things we can't equip anymore. Thankfully, we were able to put the cannery in. but we had the unique crew quarters that doubled as hold space. So, not taking advantage of that anymore. I don't plan on getting the Agravain with this captain. I wonder if Palmyre's is still in good condition. I'll have to check on that. It is thundering now, and I don't remember if it used to thunder in the Reach. Interesting. Ah, price of charity. The Nepentine price. You have paid your debt to the measurers. Another crew member lost. At Mistress Fathom's demand, you summon crew members to your cabin. Their eyes are trusting. Your knife is sharp. The figure takes the corpses into its dark dress. For a moment you look away. When you look back, it is gone, leaving only bloodstains on the rug. That appears to have lost me half my crew. I was hoping it wasn't quite that bad. Well, I knew there would be quite a steep cost for interacting with the Crossroads. I don't have an excess of possessions, unlike the last captain. He had almost enough stuff to just trade thoughtlessly. Still very long treks coming in or out of Eleutheria. Ah, we never got that eye from Perdurance to Brabazon either. So many plot threads not sewn up. How bitter to consider them. We have a need for unusual items. Good. Didn't have any gossip. It's so peculiar to think about a captain who has no gossip. Those standard secondary currencies to trade on. We'll read the ledger. And we're on our way. Good to stockpile a few more Visions of the Heavens. But Visions of the Heavens, Sky Stories, Tales of Terror, I'll take them all. Right on cue, the Peacock Wind. Now, I want to check, in terms of possessions and things. Thankfully, I still kept my 2 captivating treasures, 3 moments of inspiration, held on to 2 searing enigmas, and 2 cryptic benefactors. Okay, but I don't have any qualities related to other locations, I don't think. Nope, not a one. Although apparently I did start Watched by the Storm That Speaks and the Burrower Below. So that's interesting. Some of this may be related to hidden traits from certain facets, I think. There's a few of them that can have an interaction with that. Putting in at the nature reserve. We'll join the hunting party. A caged catch? Excellent. Report? This is different. A watcher by the station is clearly agitated. Special delivery from London. Yes. Okay. This is going to be from the Albion Transit Relay back to the Nature Reserve. We did that on the last cabin. Yeah, previously impounded goods. Okay. What is going on here? Request to all park goers. Want to study the powerful forces of nature at work in the Reach. Phlegmatic researcher. Okay. Looks like this is restarted. Yes, that's entirely restarted. Wings of a Chorister Bee, Ants, and Hybris Pus. Hybris Pus is the most annoying of the three. We need to rearrange for a guide. Take a quick trip into the reserve with the ornithologist to get the first few sky stories for us to hold on to. Let's see. And I'll be buying fuel, so we can't carry much of this Chorister Nectar, but I'll still pick some up. And I'm just going to sail on to New Winchester. Okay. I think no matter how I slice it, this is going to be a lot of busy work. A lot of our inheritances and objects that we had were related to the captain, the former captain's affiliations. Having those affiliations is a lot of what determined the inheritance. If we had completed an ambition, we would have some other inheritance properties based on that. So I likely need to play through Palmyra and Plenty's again as well, or rather I can. I may be able to replay the stories at Magdalene's. Unsettled dreams, you wake. I'll commit my dreams to the captain's log. We don't really have Tales of Terror to spare. If you could both clear out of the way... There we go, thank you. Figuring yourselves out. I might get into more fights in this captain. Killing is profitable after all. If my ambition is wealth, I should take the quick route there. We have access to the judicious driver. Excellent, excellent, excellent. That's 2 affiliation establishment. Also, he's cheap to bring on. Quick repairs. There's the pernickety factor. They'll want to go to Hybris, and they'll allow us to restart the Hybris plot. This is a plot that we had before. I'm gonna fight this time. When it comes to a fight, the cultists are a sorry lot. You barely work up a sweat, By the time the constables arrive, the psalmist and the sequencers are sitting around nursing their bruises. This again, one of the constables pinches the bridge of her nose. She pulls a slip of paper from her pocket and hands it to the psalmist's head priest. We're shutting your church down, effective immediately. Been nothing but trouble since you've arrived. Yes. Offer to ferry him to the White Well. That's the same as before. We don't need to learn about those things. Nectar for Carillion, seeds for Magdalenes. We will put away the things that are not part of those deliveries, and 4 more of those. And seeds for Magdalenes. We'll actually probably come back through here to withdraw those seeds. We've got plenty of them, though. It's not a concern. To go in at Abraham's engineering, consider if there might be anything that we can improve here. I think they don't have the green drilling equipment here. That's in my bag. It requires veils at 25, so that was a very good item. Veils at 25 and mirrors at 45 are things we should consider. I can switch back over to the Judicious Driver, which just gives me more iron. The affiliation's nice. Let's do it. Heavy on irons. Let's see. I'll withdraw 1 reading material from the bag so I can pick up on this. She smiles. Thanks, Captain. A cat hisses furiously at you from its perch on the overhead piping. Stop it, Asmodee, the eccentric scolds. Thanks, Captain, she continues. I brought some books with me, but I've already... A prolonged, deafening clamor interrupts her. A second cat has knocked over a toolbox, covering the floor in spanners. The third climbs under the engine, becomes trapped in a gauntlet of pumping pistons and whirling wheels. It yowls pitiably. You tell her that she can help herself to the books when she's less occupied. 3 sets of yellow, baleful eyes watch you depart. They seem smug. Okay, so we're looking for an automatic continuation on that story. Not much more we can do here. Apart from just acquire a bit more fuel and supply from the Victoria market. Because we'd recently brought on crew, right? I don't know if I can. Yeah. Crew hiring can only happen once every 15 days. I already did that. I just happened to lose half my crew afterwards. So we'll be out to Carillion. I might want to start up some storylines at Lustrum. There's a lot of storylines to restart. So, the next long period of gameplay for the game is going to involve retreading and redoing a lot of things that have previously been done. That may be the entirety of this captain's career, is revisiting storylines that we've already seen on the prior captain until we can complete wealth and move on to something more. So, with this setback on the books, I'm going to be playing through a lot of that offline, and we'll return to playing online once I've gotten things a lot more sorted, and we can get back to exploring something new. So I'm terribly sorry to set this back, but this is all I care to do for now. If I'm just going to go through this at a clip, I'm not going to be reading things, it's not going to be very engaging, so I'm not going to bother to put that on stream. I hope we do wander again soon. If I have time to stream, even if I haven't caught up on this, I'll be getting to work on some other things. I started up another Dark Souls SL1 run, we might play some Dead by Daylight, something else to fill the evenings, but for today, we'll be calling this to a close. It was excellent having you here. This has been Jupiter Exile, and I hope we wander again soon. Good night.